Alrighty, let's get started. Got some good stuff today. Got a chat going on. Not like a chat with you people, but with an actual chat, and then we'll see. Wow, the time it popped up like immediately. Alright. Another TV viewer, thank you for always being here. But yeah, we got an interesting chat. That's the one I've been telling you about last week. And then got a little bit of other news, but we'll see. We'll see how today goes with how much time we talk to him, and then we'll be back to it. But yeah, very excited for this chat. He's gonna help answer some of the questions we have. I hope the people who've been popping in and out and asking me COVID questions show up today, because he's gonna answer them, or at least as many as he can. You know, any other science questions, all those Fauci haters, because we're gonna go over some COVID stuff, and then we're gonna go over some the Fauci emails. He's gonna, introduce himself, and then we'll go from there. It'll be good. Got plenty of stuff. I told him call in about 10 minutes into stream, so that way I can give you people some time to come in. You can, get it out of your system, and then we'll cover things up from there. Like always, we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. And as always, my name is David. This is Fresh Faces New Ideas. You can follow me here on Twitch at twitch.tv/FreshFacesNewIdeas. You can follow me on YouTube at Fresh Faces New Ideas. You can follow me on Twitter at Faces Ideas. I don't have an Instagram account, and I don't have a TikTok. But other than that, you can follow me here. I will be starting this weekend. We will start the games. It looks like Saturday will be the first day, unless the weather gets really good and I might play ball. But other than that, it will play at some point on Saturday. It's supposed to rain, so who knows? Why would I want to look him up? Is it to like debunk him, or like to try to have a conversation? Oh, well, okay. I mean, I can reach out to him to let's see. Who did you say was Newman Leroy? I mean, this sounds like exactly like the opposite of the type of person I would want to have a conversation with. But we have a conversation coming up in a minute, or in a couple minutes, so we will hold on. Shit. So we'll get back to him. He doesn't have a mic right now? Okay. Well, then that kind of makes him pretty pointless. What am I looking at? What is he? Is he just a on Twitter? Is that what he is? Oh, he uses text to speech. All right. Well, I mean, we can reach out to him another time. I heard that. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second to pull that back up. Let's see what he's saying. Give me 1 second. Oh. Well. Okay. Well, he's like a Nazi.
You didn't understand me. If you read my blog, you will see I want everyone to live peacefully and well.
Well, who's he reacting? He's reacting to what? His chat? Okay. Well, you know what? We can, Okay. All right. So then you know what we'll do? We'll look at his thing another time, and we'll take a look at his shit another time. Good for you. You should tell the fascists they're fascists. Well, all right. We'll look at his stuff maybe tomorrow or Thursday. Depends on how much stuff we get done today, and then we will deal with him another time. But today we're doing we got a chat with somebody who knows medicine, and for those of you, hop into the Discord so we can have other chats. I mean, if you want to reach out to him about setting something up between the two of us, that's fine. But we can look at him another time. But yeah, that's we gotta chat with Feline Father. He's gonna help us with some of this COVID stuff. Go through, debunk the myths. Is the vaccine good? Does it magnetize you? He's actually going to answer some questions I legitimately don't know the answers to about, the antibody stuff. Or at least that's the hope. And then we're going to go a little more into the Fauci email. So, the guy who popped on yesterday, I forget what his name was, and DFK, both of them, hopefully they pop in so we can answer all of their... All right, man. Are you on the Discord? Hey, Feline Father. We're looking forward to talking a little bit. Do you know who this guy is? This what's his face? This Lemmer Neor guy that he's talking to. So we'll have to deal with him. Oh, thanks for the follow, by the way, Feline Father. I appreciate that. Spreader forward, I think. I appreciate you always being here. Pony Tony, what the fuck? Yeah. I mean, we're not... I haven't done a... I haven't been, on Twitch long enough to deal with to have multiple arcs. No, I don't know who Pony Tony is. So I haven't had a time to deal with a fascist arc. Mostly I'm just trying to get, people to figure out who the fuck I am. And then we deal with it. Right now we're dealing with the Fauci and the COVID arc. And I hope to have all the answers that I... Hey, man. These people are lunatics. Hey, man, you doing with the fascists? Doing a good job with that. All right, well, keep an eye out for him if he shows up here. I mean, a Big Papa Fascist showed up here with an alt account one time. I mean, I didn't toss him out. I mean, he was wrong on everything he said to me. He tried to argue with me that the Civil War was a legal thing, and that what else did he try to argue? He tried to argue that the Florida law that lets you run over protesters is legal and stuff. Well, I mean, it is legal. It's a law, but it's gonna be challenged. So that was fun. But yeah, we got Feline Father. So I got about 2 hours to talk. Hopefully people move. So we'll see how long we chat and have conversations with him. I look forward to this. I was very happy when I met him like 2 weeks ago on that panel. That was a fun panel. And he will help debunk this super fun... Oh, I can't even fucking look at this shit. Oh, that's right. Alright, hold on. I have to... damn it. Feline Father, can you look at the the article I sent you. Do you have your ad blocker up where you can see it? Let me just pull it up. See if I can pull it up on my. Yeah, man. Look, I have you till like 3ish was probably when I gotta hop off because I'm gonna go help my cousin move. But other than that, okay. I just want to make it pulled up on my end so I can show my chat. But once again, like the funniest thing is this: they keep there's right wingers keep sending me these Daily Mail articles. And I just keep laughing at them. I know you weren't on this, but the first what's it called? Like one of the first when I was doing Mr. Geek's open talk, and I was talking to Sprouticus, he was trying to argue stuff about the BLM, and he kept saying that like, oh, there's articles to prove it, and then he sent me a fucking Daily Mail article that I couldn't even open and didn't even prove what he was trying to say. All right, so we got a couple people. So if you want to hop, Feline Father, if you want to hop into the onto the Discord, we can get started. What is going on here? So this is 3. That says 3. This is 5. So I'm gonna go with 5. Alright, so he's in the waiting room. Hey man, can you hear me? Should be live, right? Can I go to stage? Stage is not a thing. Nope. Live. Alright, he should be. Alright, he should be. No, why did it go to stage? Stop going to stage. Go to live. What the fuck? Hold on. No, fuck. I might have fucked this up. Okay, allow. Okay, I think I fixed this. Are you here? I don't know. Exit quiet only. Okay, hold on. Oh, he's back in general. Go to live. Okay.
There we go.
All right, my fault. I put you in the wrong chat.
Yeah, it's alright. No problem, man.
All right.
Did I shut my camera on or?
Just hold on 1 second. Jordan Peterson, thank you for the follow. If you put your camera on, you got to give me a minute to figure out how to bring it up, but that's up to you. The hell is this?
Yeah, I can turn it on. Like, but no, like, no rush to get me on screen or anything.
Okay. All right. Hold on. So you're here. Let's see if I can put this. Turn on camera. Pro stream allow. All right. Let's see if I fuck this up too much. If not, if worst comes to worst, I'll just switch it to. Actually, we're gonna turn off this camera. We're just gonna switch. Give me 1 second, chat. We're gonna do this the dumb way because I fucked this up. All right. Hold on, chat. Yeah. All right. They can see you. We good. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, do you? Well, when we all right. So let me get into this quick. So I met you on the Mr. Geek panel like what 2 weeks ago, about that.
Yep, yes sir.
All right. So, before we get started, do you want to drop any pronoun issues that I have to call you? I mean, he, him, any of that stuff. I don't know how people do that. Any?
Oh. No, you're good to go. Just he, him. Yeah.
Okay.
All good.
And then, do you want to drop any links to your stream, to your Discord, anything you want to do that into the Discord so I can set that up?
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. You don't worry about it.
All right.
You're all good.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me set this back up. All right. So, why don't you give our viewers a quick overview of who you are?
Yeah. So Feline Father. I've been streaming here on Twitch for about a year and a half now. And I'd say like 95% of the time I've been here, I've been streaming COVID-19 stuff. I've been covering it since the beginning. I'm a biology student on the asset of my bachelor's degree with a concentration in microbiology. So this stuff's very, very intriguing. It's very like right in my wheelhouse. I'm trying to specify in like bacteria. I want to study the human microbiome. But viruses are super, super interesting to me just because of how evolution relates to them, how it's just like the purest form of evolution. So it's pretty amazing. With that, so like I said, I've been covering COVID-19 since the beginning. So I've been pretty hot on the beat since the start. Pretty well versed in how it's been going, the vaccines, vaccine policy, IPs, and stuff like that. As of lately, I've been doing COVID-19 stuff once a week, and I did back off a little bit from like tracking daily trends, death rates, case rates, stuff like that. Globally, just because like I got really, 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 to be honest, real depressed from it. It took a real toll on my mental health. But I'm still quite on it. I'm still shit held on it. And every Friday I do like a COVID-19 AMA. So if anybody comes in chat and asks me like has any questions, they ask me it. If I have an answer, I give it to them. If I don't, I'll stop what I'm doing right there and we'll look it up together. Other than that, I do microbiology-based stuff. I also do like a lot of community building, so community stuff. So Mondays, we do like we're going over a chapter a day of this book that's based on a community-based psychological first aid. So I'm kind of like working with my community in chat and like how to become a better advocate and better person to help people with mental health issues and like help them through their issues. Tuesday we're doing I'm trying to get started a first aid Tuesdays. Based on a FEMA program called CERT, which is a community emergency response training. Really cool. With me, so I was in the Army for 6 years. I was a combat medic, had 2 deployments to Afghanistan. I was attached to a 2506 infantry battalion. So I have a lot of experience in medicine, emergency medicine. So like I'm like hyper qualified to like teach that stuff. First aid stuff is really also very important to me. Got a lot of things that are important to me. And then Wednesdays is community action Wednesdays. So I have a Google form set up to where if anybody in my community wants to do anything within their community, whether it's like build like a book, like a book exchange in their neighborhood, or do stuff for their food bank, or even change like revised statutes in their state laws, I want to help them do that. Whether I can stream it or not, I don't really care. I want to help them get that thing done. Again, like this is something I'm like uniquely qualified to do. Because I'm a university. I was a student government for a year and a half. And in Nevada, we have a very unique, we're very unique politically within the nation, to where our higher education board is actually codified in the Constitution. So they're a fourth branch of government. So being like in student government, as like a student representative, I was at the same level as like a state senator. So I was, very involved in like community building, stuff like that. So I can help people. I'm very well versed in like, and navigating revised statutes, nonprofit laws, shit like that. And I just think it's really important, And then Thursdays are still kind of crapshoot, still kind of open. Yeah, so I've been on like COVID-19 stuff pretty hardcore. And it's just something that's very important to me personally. Before, like in the early days of this, I was very charitable and very like willing to listen to like people who are like anti-vax, anti-COVID-19, because I actually had time, right? I had time to talk to them and everything. And that was something I used to do weekly, is I would like insert myself into like far right-leaning groups and communities to try and like talk them down the cliff, if you will, and try and like show them the like misconceptions and like where they're like misunderstanding things. But we're at a point currently where like literally seconds matter. So like I've become very like uncharitable, and I'm no longer interested in like debating people who are anti-vax, anti-COVID-19, whatever it is, because it's like they've had like a year and a half to like be introspective with themselves and maybe question their own beliefs and get their head out of their ass, but they decided not to. So I'm trying to focus my energies a little bit more toward people who want my help. So yeah, and then that's kind of like my spiel.
I mean, that was good. The only other thing I was gonna bring up with you was the Fauci email. So I know, my chat, we went over about the first. I personally read like the first 1,000 or so pages of them. But when we spoke
Yeah.
the first time, you said you had 500 pages left in the whole thing. So have you finished all of it?
Oh yeah, I finished that bitch. You know it.
And then did you? I know you were talking about making a spreadsheet, so we're gonna have some questions because I've had some claims about the Fauci stuff that is just wild. But first I want to talk very briefly about the Nevada thing, the state governor thing.
Yeah.
So you said you were basically on level with the state, like senators or Congress people.
State senator.
Okay, so like
Like state elected representative. Yeah.
so like what exactly did you have the power to do, and do you think this is something that other states should adopt?
So one, do I think other states should adopt this? Fuck no. So, and I say that because so I was part of a constitutional referendum here in my state, called on question one to actually pull our higher education board out of the fucking constitution. It was a 6-year process because another very unique thing in Nevada is our legislature only meets once every 2 years. It's another really shitty thing in our constitution.
Wait, how does that work? How do you pass anything then?
Exactly. It's we don't. Yeah, it's a shitty byproduct of like when they first wrote the Constitution. They didn't think anyone was gonna live here because they're like, oh, it's a fucking desert. Who gives a shit, right? But they were fucking really really wrong. And it takes for fucking ever to get anything passed ever here, especially when it comes to constitutional referendums. Because as you imagine, it has to go through it has to go to the House. Goes to the first pass of the voters, then it goes back to the House, or it goes back to the legislature, and then it goes back from the legislature, and then it gets put on as a ballot question. It takes for fucking ever. Yeah, so it's really stupid. But yeah, no, I do not suggest any states try and adopt this model. The reason we were trying to pull them off is because our higher education board has zero oversight from the legislature. So they literally just give them money and then boom, bam, that's it. Like they can't tell them how to spend it. They can't do anything with it. Like the minute the higher education board has money, they do whatever the fuck they want with it. And from our experiences, they've been very, very, very corrupt with it. It's a real bullshit. Hasn't yielded any better results with the higher education. It hasn't like given them any better control over like whatever the fuck what do they call it, like educational control over like whatever. It's just been a bad situation all in all. But yeah, so in regards to like being a state representative, it's interesting, right? Because I go to UNLV, right? Don't worry, I'm not worried about doxing myself. My Twitter handle is with my first and last name. So I go to UNLV, and it's a public school, right? And since I was voted in by like the students of that state school, and because our student government constitution, we vote on it, and then it like gets approved and ratified by the state legislature. We are elected officials. Like if you Google my name, like I'm on like like all kinds of websites for like open payroll and all that dumb bullshit, right? And it was interesting because like in our position as like a student government, our budget, we had like $1.5 million budget yearly. Essentially what it was like we taxed students, so like it was like a per credit fee, and our budget was completely separate of everything else. Like nobody in like our university, nobody anywhere could tell us how to spend our budget other than us, right? And it's a super uniquely like good opportunity, right? I was able to do some really good things with that money. We were able to get get a yearly stipend of like $28,000 for our university food bank, $10,000 for our university like women's center. I was able to get the balls rolling on like offsetting vaccination costs at my university to where everything got only cost $5. So it's like there's like some really badass shit we could do. But as the situation is with at all levels of government, there's bullshit corruption and bullshit like fucking special interests. Like it blew my mind how relatable like student government shit was to like actual government, because like we had like special interests like in ways of like fraternities and like sororities and like student organizations trying to like smoosh like other senators to vote their way. Like it was fucking crazy. We had like a fucking like election scandal and everything. So yeah.
Man, wow, that was a lot more. So you didn't. So you
I'm
basically.
telling you, like it's fucking wild. I could write a fucking book and like fucking like 3 seasons of a TV show and all the shit that happened.
I mean, I think you should.
Mm.
Just sounding off that, because it sounds like when you first started talking about it, it was like, okay, well, this seems like a good idea to help teach college kids about how the government works.
Yeah.
It certainly sounds though like they packed the whole interest in. So, what would you, if you were trying to would you functionally run this in like a less corrupt, like more oversight way? What would you change?
I wouldn't change a damn thing, honestly. Just because like it is a perfect microcosm of fucking government, right? And like how like things would play out in like federal government over like the span of like a presidency literally happens in student government within a year. So it's like it's fucking wild. And like I would say like a lot, unfortunately, like a lot of students did go into it thinking that like, oh, it's a good experience, like practice like student government or being government and shit, but like they didn't realize like I had to get real dickish with some of them to like help them realize that like this wasn't practice. Like what they were doing was like they were applying government, like this, they were doing the government thing, you know, and like they were literally spending student money, and like they could literally change students' lives tomorrow by like good legislation. And like it was crazy, like because like when you like told them that like kind of shit, and like you like really pressed upon them, like you're actually like depending on how you vote today could change someone's life tomorrow. Like a lot of them would like clam up and they'd be like, because they would just think it's like, haha, this is a fun club, you know. But like, no, that's not what it is, homie. Like,
So you don't think that aspect is a positive, so they can like, especially if you're going into politics or you're someone who's doing a poli sci, you don't think having that experience is a positive?
oh no, it's a positive, 100%. It's a really good experience because like again, like we're so unique in the fact that like you were literally an elected representative, right? It's good in that aspect, but it was bad in the aspect that that's some of the senators and like some of the like the president, vice president, senate president, like it was bad in the fact that like that's all they saw it as, you know?
Okay, so
Oh, they saw it as like padding for their fucking CV or some bullshit, yeah.
okay. I mean, look, the program sounds the opportunity to have done something like that. I didn't. So when I was in college, I originally went in for criminal justice, and then I ended up with a communications degree.
Right.
I like if something like that would have like made a massive. If I'd go back, I would have obviously liked to do something like that. But it sounds like you had some good experiences and were able to actually do some good things. You're talking about the food bank,
Oh
the
yeah,
vaccine
definitely.
stuff.
What? Definitely, yeah.
All right, so wait, explain this thing in Nevada. Your legislatures only meet once every 2 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
How-
that's exactly what I said.
Wait, how does that? I don't even understand how that works. Like, what do they can't pass anything? Like, explain that to someone who's so
I
confused.
mean, they can do emergency sessions, but the emergency sessions need be for an emergency reason.
So
yeah.
there's just like no laws that are ever changed in Nevada, like at all.
Basically not, no. And well, there are, but like when it happens, like whenever the legislature does meet, like they met this year, and I think the session's going to be ending here in like a month and a half. When it does happen, like holy shit, it's a fucking madhouse because like obviously they have like bill draft requests like deadline, right? And like like you want to talk about like fucking like people scrambling with like fucking like with chickens with their head cut off trying to like turn in these bill draft requests, like whew, it's wild. It's a wild time. And but yeah, no, I mean it's just like, you know, they would like forecast out, you know, for 2 years. Same thing with the budget. They would plan out for 2 years, and this whole like thing like really bit us in the ass with COVID-19 shit because believe it or not, I know this is a big surprise, a large majority of like the legislature's funding comes from tourism, comes from the Strip, right? And tourism declined around, or actually no, they had to have an emergency session because we were projected to have a 30% deficit in our budget. So like they're like, fuck, like guess this thing's not really working out too well. And then also another really big fucking thing is that the tax rate on mineral rights here in Nevada is also codified in our constitution. So you want to talk about like fucking lost revenue. Nevada has 3 of the most profitable mineral mines in the nation, and we can only tax it at like 2 or 5%. And we cannot change it because it's in the Constitution. Like,
So whenever you pass a budget, it has to be a 2-year budget, right? You don't do yearly budgets at all?
yep, has to be a 2-year budget.
This just sounds nuts. I don't understand how nobody has looked at this as like, this is fine. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, hey, we've tried to change it, but it takes 2 years to 2 years every year, so it's really hard to get fucking ballot measures on, and the whole thing with our higher education board, it failed. Question 1 failed. Do you know how much it failed by?
a lot.
0.8%.
What is that, like 3 votes?
That's fucking swear to God, that's like a county. That's guess what happens if we're gonna try and do it again? It's gonna take another 6 years to get on the ballot.
All right, I'm gonna have to start looking into other states to see what they do, because this is just
It's fucking wild. And then honestly, I could talk for hours about the North and South divide, and oh my God, it's fucking crazy.
All right, we're gonna have to have another stream then where you explained all of the issues that are going on in Nevada.
Oh, I love talking about
Mostly,
politics.
probably
thing.
closer to the election. So, God, your elections must be just fucking wild. You this.
Yeah.
This, all right, so
They are. Do you know who Dan Rodimer is?
yes, he's the guy who went down to Texas and did. Oh, he was in Nevada first, right? He was in Nevada last year.
Yes, he was.
That guy's a character.
He's a fucking. That's a douchebag. He's a fucking. That man can He's a chameleon. He can take on to any culture around that he's around. He lost here, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go to Texas then."
Oh yeah. I've seen when he came out with that Big Dan Rothheimer ad, the one in Texas. It's this is a vastly different person than the one who was running in Nevada, and he was he looked like just a regular person, but in Texas, he had the cowboy hat, he had a different accent, he had the
Yep.
He all the Texas I'm Texas tough. I've been here for 10 minutes, but I'm gonna send it. It was everything. He wasn't running for your district, was he?
No.
No, you just know him because he's the wackiest one.
Right, and then also you want to know? Here's another fun thing. Do you know Adam Laxalt?
No, I don't know who that is.
So he was the lead lawyer in regard to Trump's trying to get the election stuff, where they're trying fucking grasping for straws anywhere to try and get certain
he was
ballots
the smart one
overturned.
who didn't put his name out in front of everything, right?
Oh, he was out front.
Because I don't ever remember hearing that name. I know the Sidney Powell, Jenna. I love talking to Jenna S on Twitter. That one was crazy. Rudy Giuliani. He wasn't part of that group. He was actually.
No, he was.
Okay, so what about him?
Mm-hmm. So he used to be the attorney general here in Nevada, and then he also tried to do a 2018 governor race. Got his ass kicked. And yeah, no, he was the co-chairman of Trump's 2020 re-election campaign here in Nevada. He was part of trying to head the fucking driving force of trying to get that shit passed here in Nevada, trying to overturn votes and shit. Oh yeah.
I mean, what was their argument for Nevada? It was just that Trump lost it. Well, wait. Let me ask this because I haven't.
So also, and it's another thing too. So during that shit, I was also shit hot on all the bullshit around the trying to overturn votes and stuff here in Nevada. And I was the first one to break the thing in regards to them trying to say that around 2,000, 3,000 votes that were cast here in Nevada were people who were not residents of Nevada. I'm not a medical student. I'm just a microbiology.
Oh, that's right. You're in the chat, so you can answer anyone who you see questions. I forgot just because of the stream.
Yeah. But I was the first one to say that it was funny because the list of voter IDs they had that they were saying were people who were non-Nevada residents that were voting in Nevada's race were literally people who were voting that had mail forwarding right from Nevada, and the list was exclusively military members and people who were going to college out of state but were still Nevada residents. It was so funny. It was the biggest fucking But Adam Laxalt, like that dude is a fucking piece of shit, like big time. He tried to claim he was a Nevada resident. Motherfucker was never a Nevada resident. In fact, like he is so hated that people, like 20 people within his own family, co-wrote a fucking article saying, "Nah, Nevada, Adam Laxalt's not a Nevada resident. He never was. He was just born here and then left." Like, it's,
Oh,
oof.
so you guys
It's
had
fucking
the
hilarious.
Louis Gohmert thing, but unlike the people who voted in Louis Gohmert, you're like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Oh, we fucking hate him. And fun fact, a lot of people know this. Adam Laxalt is also the bastard child of a former Arizona senator, Arizona Republican senator.
Well, I don't, I don't understand.
It's fucking wild.
Dude, everything you tell me
You got
about your
some wild
state is just
shit.
wild. So let me follow up my other question with that is how did are you I should have asked this. What do you politically consider yourself? Like
I'm right of center. Yeah.
okay. So who like did the Democrats do well in Nevada? Like what was the breakdown? Because generally my understanding of this election was they didn't do well like down ballots.
Yeah, no, so I would say here in Nevada, they have a hold, right? The Democrats won, right? They have control of Nevada. And I would also say they're never the Republican Party is never going to get Nevada ever again, because of like two things. One, what's his name? Adelson, Nathan Adelson, he fucking died,
Yeah,
right?
Sheldon out. Not
Or Sheldon
yeah.
Adelson. Sheldon Adelson fucking died, right? He was a resident of Nevada. And as you know, he is the number one like Republican donor nationally, right?
He
He
got the
died.
$100 million in the 2016 election, and that's how Trump won, partly.
He died, right? And he was, believe it or not, oh wow, it's a big surprise. Also, the primary like funding source for Republicans that are running here, right? And his wife has publicly stated she is not going to be donating any of those any money anymore to any political campaigns. Period. Right? So they've lost one of the biggest financial donors in Nevada, like full stop, right? Number two, they have lost all confidence of like any like Republican like voters or like GOP or anybody here in Nevada, because of like the whole COVID-19 shit. To this day, they still claim, like some of the GOP members here in Nevada still claim that Donald Trump won. And then also, as you're probably well aware, the GOP like fracturing currently of like their voter base from like actual Republicans and conservatives and like the Trump base, right? That is happening in such a fucking big way here. That like, for example, we unfortunately had somebody that got voted into our school board, which also fun fact, our school district CCSD is actually the entirety of the state. The state is one giant school district. Somebody that's on the school board, Kate, right? She's the worst fucking person. She's like a QAnon supporter. She's like a radical Trump like supporter, and she got on the school board just because the person she was running against didn't do any fucking campaigning because he thought like he had it in the bag. But she's there. So like I would say the Republican Party, it's like they're never gonna fucking like get a hold here ever again unless they fucking change their shit. Or like fucking I don't know.
Okay, so I have two follow-up questions to this. Just because I don't even know if they refer to your state. Was Nevada the state where the Democratic Party, the DSU took over and then they bounced it? Was that state too?
Yeah.
Okay.
The DSA did some shit, and then a lot. Yeah, that's
And
that's
then the other thing was you weren't the state where the state congressperson didn't want to wear a mask, so she had to drive 14 hours back and forth from work, right? That was like Texas, or was that you guys? Or do you not know that story?
Are you talking about she got blonde hair, right?
I think so. She was she just like wouldn't wear a mask, so they like won't let her on trains and shit anymore. So she has to like drive 14 hours back and forth from work.
Maybe that might be. I don't know. We did have a prominent politician who, she was a real dumbass, and she was like, "Ugh, masks are stupid." And instead of wearing a mask, she would literally wear lace panties over her face.
Oh, well, it seems like your state. So how did Nevada do comparatively to like New York with COVID?
In regards to what?
In regards to, well, Did you send your old people back into homes to kill them like Cuomo did here?
No. So no. So we actually did not bad. Beginning. All right. Our governor, Steve Sisolak, he's been doing fucking great. I'll say like I didn't vote for him, right? Because I didn't think he was a good fit. I didn't think he was, I thought he was a dumbass. But he fucking proved me wrong. Like full stop. He's been doing some fucking great work. I mean, he had the fucking balls to like say like, "Oh, we're shutting down the strip," which has never happened in Nevada's history. And like when I say shut down the strip, I mean it was shut the fuck down. Like fucking hotels boarded up their doors because like yeah, we're shutting down, right? But I would also say that was also so like a lot of people have this misunderstanding and like think that like our like legislature and politics is run by the casinos and it's like this like the evil fucking cabal, when in actuality our casinos and like the actual like those companies, they're actually pretty fucking badass. Like they do some really cool shit. And in fact, Nevada, also another fun fact, has one of the biggest what are they called?
I have no idea what you're
What are they
doing
called?
here.
What are they called? They're called unions. Nevada has one of the biggest unions in the nation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like I mean, our casinos like MGM, Caesars, like all them, they work with them because they fucking have to, right? Like the unions like control like every single server, everything. It's pretty wild. But our casinos, like they're all like really good people. They do some really badass shit. Especially at my university. I mean, they donate fucking like troves of fucking money, and they throw money at education. I mean, partially because like they throw it into like the hospitality program because obviously like if they get the best right, but because of it, our university UNLV has one of the best hospitality programs in the globe, like globally, like we have the best one, period. And I mean, they give these students like great opportunities, great jobs coming right out, and they do a lot of good stuff in regards to like just throwing money at like small businesses, and a whole bunch of stuff. So like they get like people like give like a very uneducated bad rap to them, but like there's a lot of like good work they're doing, and they complied with like everything that Governor Sisolak was saying, like full stop, because they're like because like part of it is like we don't want Nevada to have, or like the Strip in Las Vegas to have this idea that like we let people dodge for money, like they're like especially when they reopen, like I'm telling you, like they had fucking plexiglass things on every single card table. They had fucking like infrared sensors at every fucking door. Like it was wild. Yeah, Steve Sisolak, but he did a really, really fucking badass job in the beginning. As we've been going on, things have not been going as well. For me, I think we reopened in-person schooling way too early. That wasn't his call though. He didn't really have much control over that. That was CCSD. And when I say they made that decision off of zero medical data, I mean it. Like I watched all the meetings, looked at all like the fucking supplemental information. They didn't make the decision off of anything. They just made it off of, well, kids gotta go back. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It was really bad. But other than that, I think we've been handling it pretty well. Not too bad. Yeah.
What's your vaccination rate look like? Because I think the report came out that New York is 70% of adults have at least one shot.
Fuck, I don't know. I haven't looked today. But like we're at the point here in Nevada to where like we have like the vaccination sites we have open, like they'll go days where nobody's in line because people are like either not getting their second dose, which you should, or B, they're just fucking lazy or they just don't give a shit. So it's like if our vaccination rate is low, it's not because our state isn't trying or isn't doing the right thing.
We've hit that level like nationally, that everyone who wants it has gotten it.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've gone into the vaccine, let's answer some questions that obviously I'm sure you've heard either a million times or you'll know at least something of them. So first and foremost, the vaccine is very clearly safe, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We don't have like 4,000. What was it? Tucker said that 4,000 people have died from it.
Yeah. So I will say this right off the rip. People are like taking like virus data and like it's like the vaccine like safety like database. They're taking that data and like they're misinterpreting it in such a fucking egregious way. It's fucking stupid. And yeah, no large swaths of people have died directly from the vaccines. Of those people, the people who had like that rare blood clotting disease, like that from the AstraZeneca vaccine, that has like been like linked to like that blood clotting disease, was not a vaccine specific thing as much as it was a rare blood clotting disease that affects females from age 25 to 35 because of the molecule size, not like the vaccine thing, right? Because we saw the same rare blood clotting disease with other medications that had like the same like molecular size. Other than that, no, there's been nothing that's been linked to any of these vaccines.
Okay, so with and even the AstraZeneca, that's not even available here, right? Like nobody's actually taking the AstraZeneca in the US.
No, it has not been approved here. No.
Yeah. All right. So that's good that we've cleared that fact. Now here's a question that I've there's a couple questions. So the base COVID, the first strain of it, is considered, it's called wild type, right? That's what the clarification of it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I got wild type COVID, do we know what the protection of do we know first how long the antibodies last? And then second, if the antibodies will protect me from like the Delta variant or whatever? I think the UK variant is B111, B113. Is that what it's called?
The UK is B117. Yeah, so I'll be real honest with you. The new nomenclatures like alpha, beta, delta, gamma, like I have no fucking idea what any of those like are relation to. Just because like they've changed the fucking nomenclatures for these things like 5 times. So let me like break it down a little bit more for, because it is like a little bit more of like a nuanced like answer than just like yes, no, maybe, right? So in regards to like discussion on like the wild type of the virus, right? Whenever we get something like the nomenclature like a wild type, as usually what we're referring to is like the first genomic sequencing of that thing, right? That we base everything else off of. I can tell you right now, you're never gonna get infected with the wild type virus because it's essentially gone extinct. It's gone, right? Because like other variants of the genome, right, with more adaptable mutations have outperformed it. So it doesn't have like, if you want to look at it like this way, like it doesn't have any more fertile ground or any more resources to like multiply from, because other variants have outperformed it from one way or another, right?
So only the more
now in regards to like
left. So the more data.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great.
Yeah, I know, right? Now in regards to like efficacy percentages, like vaccines, something that people have been mistakenly doing is conflating these efficacy rates that are like, you know, posted or whatever to like every variant. When you're looking at efficacy percentages of like the vaccine, you need to look at the time that the study was done, and then where it was done, right? Because that efficacy percentage would only be in relation to like that strain of the virus that was predominant in that area with those kinds of people. You know what I mean? So like if I had an efficacy percentage of like 95% with like the Moderna, that was from a study that was done in like August 2020, right? Well, that may have been the case in August 2020, but that's not necessarily the case now, right? Because like the vaccination landscape's different. Now, I can tell you that Moderna and Pfizer, like the mRNA vaccines, they have been holding up really well in regards to like efficacy percentage and like immunity conferred. So if you got Moderna or Pfizer, like you're more than likely going to be good for the rest of the pandemic. Now, I will say Moderna has started working on a booster. I think like November 2020, and then Pfizer started like around February 2021. So there will be boosters available for like update if you want to like update of like the newer variants. But other than that, I mean, before that though, they've been doing really well and holding up. AstraZeneca, however, there's a reason AstraZeneca has been shit in the bed, and it has to do with essentially what version of the virus they use as a template, right? And I can tell you they use the wild type virus as opposed to every other vaccine like Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. Like they all did like predictive essentially what they did is like they hyper mutated the virus in like a laboratory setting to see which mutations would show up the most frequently, and they based their like if you will recipe off of that kind of data, and that's why they've been holding up so well. And that's also why AstraZeneca has been shit in the bed. So and then in relation to like future variants, like the Delta variant, like the one that popped up in India, I'm just getting into like the research on that and looking into it a little bit deeper. But I will say that any vaccine is better than no vaccine. In regards to like how long immunity is conferred, that one we don't have like a solid like hammer on nail answer. But what I can say is like the preponderance of evidence is starting to point towards like immunity conferred from like vaccination when it comes to like SARS-CoV-2 and like respiratory type viruses is not a long-term immunity, right? That's conferred. Usually, I think like the current research, and I'm like the current research is pointing towards like an immunity of like 8 to 10 months. And then from like natural immunity, we know it doesn't last any longer than that because of what happened in Brazil. So yeah, so that's kind of like that's that. Oh, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. So a follow up to that. So if I got COVID originally, should I get vaccinated now, or
Yeah.
And if I do get vaccinated, do I need both shots?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, you should because of two things, right? One, just because you got a COVID-19 infection, right? You're like an infection, and you think you got natural immunity to it. You, for one, like you cannot gauge like how much of an immunity you did confer from that in regards to like B cell, like memory cell, like that shit, because like depending on like your viral load and depending on like how much you got inoculated by the virus will heavily dictate how much of like the immunity you will confer. And then on top of that, you don't know what variant or like what like when really you got by what variant you got infected with and like when, right? Because Brazil, right? Perfect fucking case example of this case study. They literally Brazil in like their dumb way of going about it, they were trying to go like the herd immunity way because Bolsonaro was a fucking idiot, right? And nationally, they actually got to around 72% seroprevalence of natural immunity infection, like which means about 72% of their population had natural immunity conferred from like infections, right? And they thought they were fucking Gucci 500 good, right? And then 3 months later, they had that large spike that they saw, right? And then like millions and millions that died, right? Because they thought they were good, and then like even natural immunity waned, and then they like got big fucked, right? I would also say this: if you did get infected and you get the vaccine, there's nothing bad that's going to happen to you. And then also, if anything, it's going to build upon your current immunity, and it will like, it'll make it more robust, right? Because if you got affected and like you got like for the natural immunity, right? If you get the vaccination, you're going to build a different type of immunity from the vaccination. So it'll be much more robust and it'll be much more like, it'll last. I mean, if anything, it will last longer because now your body has like two ways of like remembering the same thing,
Okay, yeah, so it's like a backup. So yes, one of the things you saw that, I don't know if you saw it in the chat, somebody asked, is COVID passports. Now, I want to preface this before I ask you about this because this term COVID passport I think is really dumb. Because we already have requirements to get vaccinated to do things. First off, you need certain vaccinations to go to certain other countries anyway. Like if you're going to Africa, you need like malaria,
Wow.
and if you go into a school, you have to prove that you're vaccinated. If you're going to a camp, you have to prove that you're vaccinated. So in my mind, a COVID passport is not like a massive overstep leap in logic for the government, right? So I would be for it. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the ascension of this, and like I get a lot of shit for this, but I think a COVID-19 passport is dumb, and I think it's I think it's well intentioned, right? But I think it's a bad move because of like two things, right? For one, they didn't make this decision. They didn't make like this, they're not going forward with this based off of any research, right? There's nothing that shows this kind of like policy increases vaccination, compliance, like nothing like that, right? The only reason they're doing this is because they're like, oh yeah, it seems like a good idea, right? So if that's for one, right? And then for two, and then I guess there's a third one too. For two, I think it just like it's like muddling the conversation on COVID-19. Like it's like unnecessary white noise that like needs to like clear the air in regards to like things that we actually need to talk about, you know. And it just gives like if anything, right, it gives like anti-vaxxers and the right just another reason to like ding and slam dunk the NIH and CDC, because a couple months ago they blatantly said right off the rip, we will not do vaccine passports, right? So like now it seems like they're like again like flip flopping or whatever the fuck, right? And it's just like further like just like bad messaging is just a bad idea overall. And then the third thing, especially globally, I think it's like a fucking terrible move, because it, you know, as we're all aware, there are some vaccines that some nations have not approved, right? And because of that, the idea is that they're not going to accept people who had that vaccine as like a valid SARS-CoV-2 vaccination, right? And we already have an issue with like international passports just in general, like they're being different tiers. And like if you get a passport from like a certain nation, it's not accepted in other nations. Like this is just going to create like more issues, especially when you think of the fact that AstraZeneca is a vaccine that is being pushed by COVAX, and that's vaccines being given to like lower income nations. And if that's the only one that they have access to, and that's going to be the one that a lot of nations don't accept, like
You can't go.
we're like discriminating on them. You know what I mean?
All right. No, yeah. So I didn't think of it that way. So then, what would be the correct way to like deal with something like this? So I guess to have it would just be an update to like if you're going to a certain nation, you have to be like how would you like what would you do instead of like a vaccine passport to like make sure travel is okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
Right? Because honestly, my answer would be like just to do nothing. Because anti-vax are anti-vax. You know, like this isn't going to be something that's going to push them over the edge to get vaccinated. And for me, like the juice isn't really worth the squeeze, like politically, messaging wise, and then also just in general, like worth resources. I just don't think it's worth it.
So it's a better wedge issue than it is an actual policy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. See, this is part of the thing. I like to have people who I don't agree with, because obviously we don't have the same thought process. So the other question somebody asked me is, if they don't take the vaccine, should they be barred from doing certain things? And the way I've said this is basically like, look, you have two ways to deal with this. You either get vaccinated or you wear a mask and stop crying about it. And if you don't want to do either of them, then you're just a jackass. So when places are going to like say you have to be vaccinated to do this, especially like it makes sense for like Vegas or like stadiums to say we'd rather you be vaccinated because other people are going to be here. Or what would you push for like a like messaging on that?
I'm very like not sure on this answer. I'll be real honest. I've been thinking about it like for fucking forever, right? Because like on the one hand, right, you know, so and I'll be very clear on this. So I was a big Ron Paul stan back in 2012. So like my thought of like, you know, allowing private businesses to like make that decision for themselves of saying like, you know, are we going to allow people to come in, you know, force them to like, you know, prove vaccination, whatever, right? In this regard, like I don't know, right? But then also on the other hand, again, like I haven't seen any research or anything that shows like those kinds of policies and those kinds of like restrictions increase vaccination compliance or make anyone safer. Because if that's what it is, right? It's like let me ask you this, right? With a policy like that, is the onus of like wanting that policy to increase vaccination like compliance, or is it just to like ding those people who don't want to get it, like as a retributive kind of like thing?
Okay, no, that makes sense. So then let me ask you this, because I have a couple of other thought processes. I end up with a lot of people in my chat, and I imagine there's some in your chat who just say, I don't want to take the vaccine because it's either my body, my choice, or you know, it's not you know, it's not approved yet, or you know, if you get it, if you have the vaccine, why do I need to worry about it? Like, what do you say to people like that?
Right. So again, it's very difficult for me personally, because the first thing, I get it. I wonder, like this is what like a lot of people like don't understand in regards to like vaccine hesitancy, especially with something like this. I get where the fear is, right? Because yes, they're absolutely correct. This vaccine has technically not been 100% approved yet. It's still in the long-term like retroactive like analysis stage, right? So it's still technically in like whatever it is, right? And yes, this is a brand new technology, right? I get it. And then also yes, like the like is not, it's very recently in the 1970s that like the Tuskegee like experiments were going on, and that was some unethical bullshit, right? So I get it, like I get where the fear is, but also I would also tell people that like science is different, right? The scientific community, scientific medical community, like we're way different than we were just 10 years ago. We're much more transparent. We're much more separate from government. We're much more like ethical now. And I would also say mRNA technology, like adenovirus media technology, this is stuff that we've been researching and working on for like 20 years, right? And like what I like to tell people is the fact that we have mRNA vaccines right now is literally the biggest stroke of fucking luck, because it happened at such a point that the technology and the understanding of it was at a point where it was able to be applied, right? And we got so fucking lucky with this, right? And also, it's also funny, like the actual person who invented it, came up with the idea for mRNA technology, we got so fucking lucky that a private interest wanted to like actually like help her research this. Because when she was in the public sector, like a public university, they actually told her, fucking, this is like useless technology, stop looking into it or else you're fired. Like she almost lost her fucking job because of it. And like literally like it's been like just a series of just like good fortune that we have it today. But yeah, I would say like it yes, it got rushed through, and yes, it got done very quickly. But just because it got done very quickly doesn't mean there was like corner cuts, right? And I would also say the fact that it got done so quickly in such a pivotal time means it had so many fucking eyes on it. Like I'm telling you, like when this thing like there were people fucking watching the whole thing through the whole process. So there was like absolutely no way for these companies to cut corner. There was no way for them to fudge numbers because the FDA, CDC, NIH, like they wanted to make sure that if this was going to be passed, like this was going to be safe. So like you bet your ass they fucking like had all eyes on and all hands on deck, So I would say like in regards to like the safety of it, like I get it, like I understand where the fear is, but I would also say, like look into it a little bit more, like question yourself and be like, maybe I am wrong in this, and maybe the people that are like slinging the bad things about this, like maybe they also don't understand, right? Because if you have this belief that people who are like push the vaccines don't understand, then logically it would also track that maybe the people who are slinging the bad things about it also may not know what they're talking about, so it's like it's a matter of having a critical eye on this stuff. And then also I get it, like people don't know who to trust, because in the same way that we have like Dr. Fauci and all the scientists that are like supporting and pushing for mRNA vaccines, same wear masks, all that shit, there are also some well-respected scientists on the other side, that are saying that COVID-19 is not a big deal, don't wear masks, blah, 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 right? But I would also say the people that are saying that, there's a through line with them of, one, they're not doing their own research to prove this, and two, they're always, always, always the ones that need to be convinced. They're never the ones that like, like, oh, well, I'll like go out of their comfort zone. They're always the ones that people need to bring evidence to them. They're always the ones that like are like the God saviors of like truth, And like, there's a reason for that, because they don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. Like Brett Weinstein, for example, dude's a fucking hack fraud. I don't care if he's a PhD in biology, right, of evolution, but he's still a fucking hack fraud. Trust me. So yeah, right. And then in regards to like my body, my choice, and if you're getting vaccinated, then why should I? My body, my choice. Cool, bet, got it. But guess what? The state also is allowed to say like if you don't do this, then you can't access these things. And also private companies are also allowed to do that. So when that happens, don't bitch and complain. Like you pied the piper for your own decisions, right? And then also in regards to like, if you're getting vaccinated, why should I? It's the same thing with like voting, right? If you're going to vote, then why should I? Well, 2/3 of the country doesn't vote because of that sentiment, right? It's not about like, if you do it, then I shouldn't have to do it. It's about like doing it so those who cannot do it are protected by this herd immunity, right? And then also it's just like a smart idea to get vaccinated so you don't fucking die. But that's that.
No, look, I I agree. I understand the people who are vaccine hesitant, but the other thing, like when people argue with me about, I don't want to get it. I had somebody argue with me that we should be, treating people with HIV who go outside without like wearing a condom is the same as the people with COVID. I was like, but you can't compare those because they don't spread in the same way in any way, shape, or form. So, all right. So let's see what the other questions that I have about the vaccine. So.
This is another thing too. This is also a fun thing too. So, in regards to those kinds of folk, the best thing to do is to ask them what information or what data can I show you to possibly change your mind. And when you ask them that, you're going to see fucking smoke come out of their ears because they can never even fathom the possibility that they were wrong. Like those are the folks that you just need to like, okay, disengage, not going to change their mind anyways, and stop talking to them.
Oh wait, you mean I just can't yell at them and call them stupid? That's not the right way to do it.
I mean, you could do that if you want to. Hey.
All right, so here's another one. So I feel like one of the pushes for this that would help is apparently this vaccine gives you superpowers. We most recently saw in Ohio that it makes you magnetized. Now, this is a new push that I'm pushing for in my chat. Originally, the thought process I had was people just don't know what's going on. Now I've come to learn that people just don't ask the basic one next question, which is, if it's magnetized, why aren't there like massive other issues that are following it? Like if I was a magnet, I couldn't be having this conversation.
Because the deep state, they're hiding it from you clearly.
If I was a magnet, I couldn't be having this conversation with you because I'd be frying my computer right in front of me. So like,
well, how do I know you're not a deep state agent?
Are you also a deep state agent?
I mean, if I was, would I admit it?
Right, like it's one step further. So clearly, did you see the Ohio nurses and the doctor talking about this? Those clips. So, can you give us a medical reason, a science reason for how this woman managed to stick a key to herself and then thought she stuck it to her neck when it clearly fell off?
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it called? Like surf, like what was it called? Like it's just the fact that you like have an oily skin and you can stick things to you, right? Like I bet you she could have done that like 5 months ago or like a year ago. But she never tried to because she never thought maybe I should see if this key sticks to my forehead, And then also, what else is really hilarious about that shit is like when people are doing it, they try and demonstrate it, and they demonstrate it with something that's actually not be able to magnetize, like a copper penny. Like that shit is the funniest thing because like they'll be like, look, I'm magnetized, and it's like, no, you're not, because literally that thing is not able to be magnetized anyways, you fucking idiot. Like, it's pretty fucking funny.
Right, that's obviously it. That's what I mean. Take one step further. Just because you have something that appears to be metal doesn't mean like that's literally how magnets are taught in school. They take the magnet and you have a penny and you try to push it together and it doesn't work. Like it's.
And you know what's funny too? It's a funny like thing with the Fauci emails. I actually think I found the email where that started.
The magnetism one? That came from a Fauci email. Or a Fauci email.
Maybe. And I'm only saying this because the guy who mentions it in the emails, he talks about magnetism. He also has a YouTube channel and he talks about these things quite frequently. And it just seems very like coincidental that like this shit pops up about being magnetized from the vaccine, and then a guy in the emails talks about magnetism with COVID-19, and he also has a YouTube channel that talks about it.
Okay. All right. So I think that's about all the questions I have for the vaccine and stuff. I'm sure if chat you want to ask, just put them in and we'll get to them. Let's get to the Fauci emails. So you have read all of them. I have read some of them. The Fauci emails, as we've been told, are indisputable proof that Dr. Fauci is actually the evil mastermind behind the COVID virus. Yes. That there's actually a recipe in them to prove that COVID was made by Dr. Fauci himself, and that he actually lied about everything. Right? We don't need to discuss anything else because that's clearly what happened.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to confirm that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, obviously, everything that I just said is false. We've been over it for me. Mm-hmm. So, here's what I've been able to see based off of the emails that have been used as targets. It's the February 5th email is the mass one, right? Right about then. There's the I think it's the one they're talking about it being in a lab. That was the first email in
Kristen
the chain.
Anderson
Is that one? Yeah. And then What is the other one that they glam onto? Is
So it's like three things. So it's like the mask one early, which I think is hilarious. The one about Christian Anderson where he says the things like potentially, right? And then the third one is in regards to his conversation with Peter Dzik, and like where he talks about like, oh, thank you for like giving support to the origins fucking thing, natural origins and not the lab leak, and trying to set the naysayers straight. Like those three emails, like the big like smoking gun.
Okay, so let's go through these piece by piece, and then I think we're also going to end up down the rabbit hole of how the hell this ended up, as they said that NIH funded this. So the Fauci mask email is and correct me if I'm wrong here, is consistent with what he was saying in the present.
Yes.
Is consistent with what he was saying then. It was consistent with the known science at the time, because let's remember this email was in fucking February. And then
yes,
it was not. So there was nothing new in this. And this idea that Fauci lied is just basically a lack of understanding about how science advances. Is that about it?
Yeah, or like how time works. Yeah.
Okay. So look, I think the biggest issue to this is people misreading words and not understanding how time works. The other email was the potential email. So this one was actually prior to the mask email, right? I think it was the very first email in the
Yep.
chain. And in it, he basically sent these people an article talking about how this could potentially come from China. And the response from them was, yeah, we're looking at it. It's like 0.01% of this virus is like potentially a little weird. So we think that possibly it could be man-made, right? That's about the summing of it.
Yeah. It was essentially just like a spitball, like fucking just like discussion between scientists, like maybe, I don't know, like we'll look into it, kind of thing.
Okay, so obviously, and then we get to the Peter Dzik email. He is now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't actually spent the time looking into the combination of how the NIH funded the Wuhan lab, because I was very afraid of the rabbit hole that I was going to end up in. What the hell is that rabbit hole? And is he the one that Tucker said was like funneling money secretly to NHS to Wuhan?
Yeah. So, and this is again like another like people are so fucking stupid. And I can like preface like everything that they're trying to like pull from this as like they are fucking grasping for straws and they are making the biggest leaps in logic. It's fucking hilarious, right? Yeah. So essentially the Peter, right? Peter Dzik, right? So he's been like researching coronaviruses and SARS-CoV-1, MERS, SARS in China, right? He's been researching this for like 10 years, right? So he's like he's a leading expert, right? He's a global expert on these things, right?
And why is he doing it in China?
And
is there a reason he's doing it in China? Is
it
because he's actually working for the Chinese government to destroy America? Is that what's happening?
Oh. No. The reason he's doing it in China is because SARS-CoV-1, MERS, all the the coronaviruses that cause the common flu, Spanish flu, they all came from China, right? There's a reason that all these things are coming from China is because it's like essentially a hotbed for like animal to human like jumps of like viruses, because they have the animals there that harbor these viruses naturally. So yeah, he would study it there, of course, right?
Okay. And then continue with that. I just want to, obviously have to answer.
Right. So he's been studying this for like years, right? And he's been getting a $600,000 grant, like research grant from the NIH yearly to do this, right? And this has been money to him to study it yearly, right? He's been doing it for years, right? And the whole connection with him in the Wuhan lab is that he's been working with them and out of it, right? Now, people need to realize, scientists, we do research and experiments, different kinds of things in the same building, right? We don't have individual buildings for like individual research things, right? So like he was working in the building, which, by the way, the reason that they put the research facility there was because that's where these SARS-CoV-1, that's where the animal reservoirs are, right? So yeah, they're gonna do the research near the thing where they're researching is, right? And then also, this lab also has other experts on coronaviruses, SARS-CoV-1. So he was doing some cross-collaboration with scientists, as we do as scientists. None of that money, none of it, zero, right, was being used to fund the other research that was happening in the building for their gain of function research. That was all money for Peter to do his thing yearly.
Now, let's just very briefly discuss what is gain of function, and like, because this is also, I think, good, because one of the things I remember you talking with Katarina on the stream was basically making science easy for stupid people, or basically anyone who's not a scientist.
Yeah.
So I think, can you explain gain of function in basically the easiest way possible, and how this became the new boogeyman?
Yeah. So okay. So gain of function research, right? So essentially, it's research to where we would put the virus, right, or whatever we're studying, pathogen, in certain conditions, right, to where we would push it in a certain evolutionary direction, right? And the reason we would do that is to see what kind of conditions would push it for that. What kind of conditions would push it that way. What are the most prevalent mutations that happen? How would these gain of functions and these changes interact with different kinds of cell types? That's pretty much it,
So
right? And the reason we do that
is it supercharging the virus, or is it just altering like
so it's not like it's not like from like how they think of, like, we're not like injecting the virus with steroids and having it go to the gym twice a day kind of shit. Essentially is like we push it in a certain direction, see what mutations and like what changes to the virus happen, and then we annotate that, right? We push it to gain a function, right? And it's extremely important for like some pharmaceutical research. It's extremely important for us to understand like how these viruses change and like why they're changing and where are the hotbeds of changes, right, in this genome. And I can tell you with full confidence, had we not been doing this research, even here in the United States, we would not have had the mRNA vaccine as quickly as we did.
Okay, but I thought Obama ended the gain of function research in the United States. That's what I was told, and then that's why.
So it was actually it was halted. It was actually restarted at the ass end of his presidency.
So it was still going on in the United States under Donald Trump. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then
the only thing that changed was like funding and like funding mechanisms to the NIH.
So what is where all right. So what does that mean? Like the funding mechanisms, like they weren't getting the same grants, or they were getting less?
It was more of like stipulations in regards to like what is required for there to be a grant, and then also like safety things in regards that are tied to these kinds of grants.
So it was made harder to get. You had to pass a higher bar to receive these.
I wouldn't say harder. It was just like more like safety requirements, like more like different kinds of reporting. It wasn't like, it's not like they were like adding 5 more hoops to jump through. They were just like reworking it essentially,
Okay. So then this has to come down to the biggest question. Is this a lab leak? Did the virus come out directly out of the Wuhan lab? Do we have any, would we know? Is China blocking all the information to allow us to check this, or can we kind of figure it out? So basically it comes down to, is Trump right?
People have been taking advantage of the charitability and the ability to talk about everything of the scientific community, right? Because in science, there's nothing that is definite. There's nothing in science that is above questioning. There's nothing about science that is above being changed, right? And because of that, we'll say something to the effect of we're 99% sure that it came from natural origins because it's preponderance of evidence, and then some chud douchebag on the side would be like, yeah, but it's still possible, right? And then grunting through my teeth, trying not to bust my teeth and have to get veneers of saying, yes, it is technically possible, but no evidence has been, it's really irritating. However, currently, the preponderance of evidence is pointing towards natural origin. Now, I'll also say this, in regards to the investigation of natural origins of viral viruses that jump, it takes forever. Right, MERS took 9 months. SARS-1 took 15 months. Right, and that was with a government that was not impeding the investigation. I will say the Chinese government is absolutely 100% impeding the investigation, not because they want to cover up the Wuhan lab, but more of because they want to hide the actual impact that the virus had early on in regards to like death rates and infection rates. That's what they want to hide.
So it's possible that they knew about the virus well before they told. Well, we don't have evidence of that. So this is the particular story that is latched onto for the lab leak theory, is that there was the 3 Wuhan scientists who got sick in like November.
Yeah.
So is that not like, how is that fall into this theory?
Right. So that's pretty much people trying to say like, oh, well, these guys that work in the lab got sick, so they were probably the ones who started it. When like you can easily destroy that narrative by saying, shocker, people got sick while the pandemic was spreading, and other people were getting sick. Like they weren't the first ones that got sick. It's like, and like if you could point that out, you just be like, they weren't the first ones to get sick, so how could they be the start of it? You know, it's it's pretty fucking hilarious.
Have we pinned it far back enough to the first person who's got sick? Do we definitively know?
No, we haven't found patient 0, but we know during that time, like in November 2019, their hospitals were being overrun. And then also like we have like serial physical like evidence, like some evidence to show that like it started earlier, right? It was like circulating around China earlier than that. And that's why people say that, you know, that it wasn't like, you know, because one of the other like theories in regards to like it being a lab origin is to say that like, oh, well, generally speaking, when a virus goes from animal to human, it doesn't have the explosive growth like we saw when with SARS-CoV-2. And we're like, yeah, that's also consistent in this situation too, because it had been circulating in China undetected as if it wasn't a big deal for like maybe like a month or 2, and then it had that one mutation, that one like it was able to gain adaptations while it was doing this, and it had that one swan mutation that changed it to be like, not a big deal to like big deal,
Okay, so that's actually something else I want to talk about. This thing, like, first of all, it mutates incredibly quickly. At least to me, it seems to be. Because you're telling me no? Well, we've had 4 variants in a year. Is that not rapid for a virus like this?
No. So it is. So coronavirus class viruses are actually some of the slowest mutating viruses. Period. And the reason being is because they actually are very unique in like the single strand RNA class virus, that they have a very rudimentary like genome checking system. So like in the same way with ours, when our shit's like replicating, it has like a checking system to like, if there's something that changes like a mutation, it quick fixes it, right? They also have a similar system. And because of that, they don't have many mutations that accumulate over time. Like, for example, the flu virus, that motherfucker mutates like a motherfucker, right? Because they don't have this rudimentary like checking system. But SARS-CoV-2 and like coronavirus class viruses are very slow mutators.
Okay, so then the other question to that is, because it does so many weird different things to different people, is it possible that that is a precursor to it being man-made versus it being a natural virus? Because like different people get different things, and like weird subgroups get different stuff. Like how, like normal, that seems just because this virus, maybe it's because it's like the first pandemic we've had to deal with, at least in most of our lifetimes. No, I haven't spoken to anyone who's over 100. Like, doesn't that seem a little weird for a virus to do so much random stuff to a bunch of different people?
Nah. So like, let me ask you this: do you know every single side effect and everything that the flu virus does to somebody?
Off the top of my head, not really. No, but you
have a point of comparison.
Okay, so is that where the idea that like, but wouldn't it be comparable to like, SARS or MERS? Like, did those viruses have this type of effect or no?
I mean, if you want to compare it to SARS, I mean, SARS had like a what? Let's see, what was the effect? That had a crazy high fatality rate.
Right. No, I know they were more deadly, but like the impacts on like the different people, like who would get the long scar, or there was the babies that became fat.
So like SARS and MERS are not a very good comparison because of 2 things. Because they had a extremely high case fatality rate, and they also were not a pandemic causing pathogen. So like they haven't like affected millions upon millions of people, So you wouldn't have a very good like group to actually test that against.
Okay, so then the flu is probably the best comparison to the
The flu is the most recent pandemic-causing virus from like 1918, and we don't have very good records from then, so we don't have anything to compare it to.
Okay, I'm trying to think if there's any other questions that I get or that I have.
But I will say this: so in regards to like, would the virus like interact differently if it was man-made or natural? No, because viral mutation is viral mutation is viral mutation. There's no like way to like hack the viral genome. Like a lab-made virus would act exactly the same as a natural born virus would in normal in like in the fucking wild.
Do we know this? Like, is like
Yes.
do we,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
is there's an example of like a lab-made virus that like infected people? Or just from
kind of. I mean, so there was, and I will just get ahead of this one too. So, like, yes, in 2006 in Beijing, I think a virus did escape a research lab there. Didn't do much, but that did happen. I'll say that. But no, even if right, we didn't have if we didn't have anything to compare it to, it doesn't matter because like because just the basic very tenets of like viral mutations, it's random. All like all mutations that happen, every single mutation, it's all random. Everything's random. It's all random. There's no pre-planned mutations that happen, right? And also, there's also no way to like lock a portion of the genome to where it never changes either, because it's all random mutations. Like there's nothing you can like. There's no like genomic like technique to like hack the genome or anything like that. Like it all acts the same in nature,
Okay, so then
And also in research too, in even like doing gain of function research, you're still doing the same thing that I would do in nature. You're just like altering the conditions around the virus,
okay, so the other thing that people argue about it being man-made is the spike proteins. Well, at least this is my understanding because I haven't really looked into a lot of these.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to prove that this was man-made, do you know what like the signifiers for it would be? Like what exactly would we be looking for? And also, if it was man-made, this is the thing that I imagine scientists have been studying more than like anything else. Why would they have been able to figure that out directly?
Right. So this is actually I'm glad you brought this up, right? Because this is one of those things that is a like proving a negative that you're never going to be able to prove to somebody. Because if the argument was, how can you prove it's man-made, right? Like other things you can prove the man-made, and you could say like, okay, well, there's laboratory techniques that you do this, and like there are hallmarks just here, and then they would come back at you like, well, what if they were trying to design the virus to where you couldn't tell if it was man-made?
So I'm
And I
out
would say,
thinking
well,
I'm
and I
outsmarting, you're
wouldn't be able to
outsmarting.
tell.
Right.
Huh?
Their argument is I'm outsmarting, you're outsmarting.
Right. It's like they want me to prove negative. It's the same thing with like the, oh well, how come we can't produce any records from the virology? They delete them all. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want me to prove? I can't prove that they deleted something. Like,
Okay. So what do the spike proteins have anything to do with anything, or is this just like another rabbit hole?
What do you mean anything about anything?
Well, I I only caught the tail end of this, but I know Rob Noah was arguing something with Sansol about the spike proteins being being different, so that it's like a proof that it was
Right. So like the Ferg and cleavage site, right, was one of the things.
I think
and
so,
then
yeah.
the CCG like codon sequence, that was another one.
That's probably sounds about it. Yeah.
Right. So I can just tell you right now, those things were debunked. Like those things were like proven false months ago. All the new like quote unquote evidence that's come out recently is literally just rehashed bullshit from like the beginning of all shit. It's just everyone thinks it's new because nobody gave a shit early on like that. It's actually kind of hilarious. And the real unfortunate part about this is the person who was like the one who was like debunking a lot of these things and like showing that like what they were saying is not necessarily true. It was a researcher, Christian Anderson, right? And he recently deleted his Twitter account. He stopped interacting with the public and the media because of the fallout from the Fauci emails, because he was like prominently posted in them because he was like a leading researcher on this thing. And he was the one that emailed Fauci the potentially that email. And people have been like harassing him, doxing him, death threats, like coming at his dragging him through the mud. And he was like, I'm done. And he just like deleted all contact from like anybody that's public about this at all, right?
So
which
they
is
took
a
that
real
as,
shame because that man's my fucking hero.
so they
Huh?
took that as a sign of guilt that he was hiding.
Pretty much. Oh yeah. All on Twitter, people are like, oh, like so a guilty person doesn't just delete their Twitter account. It's like, come on. Like our non-guilty person, like non-guilty person doesn't delete their Twitter account. It's like, come on. Like, yes, he was getting death threats. Like, are you kidding me? The aggressive nature towards researchers has been like on the rise quite recently, which it seems like to correspond with Rand Paul being a fucking chudhead, right? And there's been researchers who got doxxed, got a brick through their window, racial slurs thrown at fucking researchers. Like, it's been some real fucky shit, you know?
Okay, so then a couple other questions. So there is nothing in the emails that proves there's no. Someone was telling me that there was a direct sequence that proved that they made the virus in the lab. Is there anything that could? What is the origin of that argument? Is there actually an email that somebody's misconstruing with like a virus sequence? Like, where did that come from? Or is that just made out of thin air?
No, so yeah, referencing that article you sent me, right? The Daily Mail article, right? So they talk about. So first of all, two things, right? So the two.
All right,
the two U.S.
experts. Let me just preface this in my chat. So, chat, this was sent to me yesterday by somebody. So I'm gonna put this into chat so if you guys can look at it. I apologize. It's a Daily Mail article. I don't trust them either. The Daily Mail was my favorite Daily Mail article is always that they told us that Biden was going to steal our burgers.
Which he still could.
Yes, he still could, but that's not apparently a thing. All right, so this article is saying that there's genome sequencing that certainly proves COVID deliberately came. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the exact thing. Rare genome sequencing almost certainly proves COVID was deliberately made in a lab before it leaked. Another expert study makes bombshell claim. First of all, there's like 6 caveats in that sentence. Almost certainly proves it was deliberately made. So going off that and knowing that what the Daily Mail doesn't, always take science into what it's actually mean. What is going on?
Oh, but like these dudes and this like damning article they wrote is also being shared around with like the Brett Weinsteins and like the fuckheads as like the smoking gun of like it's fucking hilarious.
So what is this that we're looking at? This is the L-grain helps make proteins, but is also often used as so-called. Oh, is this also gain of function issue? Is that what they're complaining here?
No. So okay, so like let me preface this, right? So these two like experts, right, that pinned this damning article, which by the way has not been peer reviewed or anything, right? One of them was a self-proclaimed entrepreneur, right, in breast health and coronaviruses, who has received like a multitude of FDA warning letters for the bullshit he's been doing. The second guy is a Koch-funded climate-denying scientist, right? So like these people are not reputable sources, like right at the rip. Second thing.
Wait, are you telling me that the Koch brothers is denying science, so therefore we can't believe them? I thought it's 50-50.
No.
Oh.
I'm saying that he's like a unbiased scientist who's easily bought.
So he's the scientist who's making money off of telling us that COVID isn't real, unlike all the other.
No, he made money off of saying people by telling people climate change wasn't real.
Right. As opposed to all the other scientists.
That's why his credibility is here. He's also a physicist. He's not like a microbiologist or a virologist, genomics, but whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so this was the other thing. Going back right before this, hydrochloroquine.
Yeah.
There was an email about that was talking about how it was actually effective, and therefore Trump was right and everyone ridiculed it for no reason. Now,
that's never an email. It's not in there.
But there is an email talking about hydrochloroquine, right?
There's a lot of emails talking about hydrochloroquine. And in fact, right, this is my favorite thing about these emails. So a big thing with like these fuckheads who are like trying to push hydrochloroquine, ivermectin, like all these like dumb fucking medications as like a treatment methodology for COVID-19 when they don't actually do that. And in fact, they're just super fucking dangerous. They've been claiming that like the FDA, the NIH, they've been like ignoring and not wanting to research these things for like whatever the fuck. When in actuality, in February, March, Dr. Fauci was getting emails about this, and he would respond by saying, yeah, no, let's look into it. Let's get a research into it. Anything we could find to possibly repurpose, we need to figure it out. So he has been advocating for research to see if these things are possibly repurposed since the fucking rip, right? They're just mad because the conclusions that they came to was completely opposite of like what they thought was reality.
Right. So that was like the follow up to it. It's like they did testing on this like in Europe, and I think they did it in the army, and they found that it wasn't doing the things. So like that they said it was actually more detrimental than it was. Like in some cases it helped people, but the negative side effects weren't worth it.
There's actually been a long-term retroactive analysis of like COVID hydrochloroquine like treatment and stuff. There was literally no link between the hydrochloroquine in better cases, in better outcomes. Like the people who had better outcomes that took the hydrochloroquine, it was just a matter of like happenstance, right? It wasn't the hydrochloroquine that did it. There's not enough like evidence and not enough like instances of that happening to say it's what's the word? Like saying that it was the reason that was happening, right? In fact, there's actually things to show that had nothing but negative outcomes because the people were starting to have heart arrhythmias, like badass psychological issues, and the evidence that they use to point towards saying it is a cure-all and shit like that are some of the worst fucking studies you've ever seen in your life. They are penned and pushed by physicians, MDs, who are only being confirmed of their confirmation bias, and the countries that they hail as like the countries that used it and like they saved their population, India, Brazil, like countries that are not doing very well right now, because these things weren't clearing them. They were just taking a load of this shit, right? And there was just correlation, not causality, that was happening, you know?
Okay, so we don't actually owe Dr. Stella Manuel an apology for dragging her through the mud. Do you remember her? That was like one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen was following her theories.
Oh, or you mean the lady? Is that the lady who was also part of the insurrection things and actually got arrested by the FBI?
I don't know if she was that. She was the demon sperm causes cancer one. She was.
Oh,
she was that.
That's a different lady. Yeah, that lady. Not so banana cakes. Oh yeah.
Okay. No, wait. There's one of them. That was...
yeah. The person I was referring to is she's this lady who was like part of this like the physician group that like thinks hydrochloroquine's the cure all. And she's like the fucking lead person on this shit. And she went to the insurrection shit and she got arrested because she was part of it. And she got arrested by the FBI. It's fucking hilarious. Like she's like a fucking real reputable source, you know? Like.
All right. So before we have like more random questions, what are your thoughts on the lockdown? So here's my ultimate, the way I looked at it.
Hold on, can I get the CGG thing real quick?
What's CGG?
Like the part of the Daily Mail article.
Oh, you want that link? Okay, hold on one second.
Yeah, just real quick. There's one thing I want to say about it. So one, right? So the two researchers, quote unquote, that are like fucking experts, right? They're fucking idiots, right? And they're fucking not, reputable sources because of their nefarious past. Two, right? The CCG thing or CGG combination thing saying it's like never happened. That's also false. It's rare, right? But it is a common thread throughout all coronaviruses that it can happen, right? So that's just like bullshit. And then two, right? This is the fun thing. The thing that is like that people are like, oh, this is like very unique and rare to this thing. Yeah, it is, because guess what? Mutations randomly happen, right? And if this was something that was common, right, but it caused the virus to do this, then we would have a bigger fucking issue in our hand of just like hundreds of like different viruses just fucking us up all the time. If a virus mutates in a very unique way to get like a swan mutation that causes it to be hyper virulent and very deadly, that's going to be unique. That's the nature of like pandemic causing pathogens, like.
Right. And here's the thing, like if you're talking about it possibly being a bioweapon, doesn't it do the exact opposite of what a bioweapon does? Like, wouldn't you want a bioweapon to be highly highly
Yeah.
deadly, but not have
Specific.
not like have a massive spread, because if you had a mass spread and it was highly
Yes.
deadly, it would just fuck everything up instead of being localized.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
obviously that can't be true because they fucked all that up. So
Yeah.
lockdowns. So here's my thought. I think they generally worked. I think the problem that happened in America was we both didn't lock down long enough to deal with the virus, and we did not support the people while they were locking down. So that's why we didn't lock down long enough. Is that a good explanation for
Yeah.
it? Okay. So because they'll say other countries that locked down didn't have these or didn't do well either.
And this is my favorite fucking question, right? Because I love showing people this graph. So can I share my screen real quick, and I'll share like this graph, and just like it's my fucking favorite thing in the world to show people. Because like I'll have like chud fuckheads like fucking redneck, John Burke, and these fucking assholes saying this shit.
You were talking to John Burke. You were doing his video last time I spoke to you. Last week.
I hate John Burke. That man's a fucking idiot. All right. My favorite thing. I love showing people this. Okay, right here, blamp, blamp, pow, bing, bang, boom, bada, bing, bada, boom. All right,
Hold on
good.
a second.
Okay, so I'll show. Let's see. We'll show. Like we'll do the United Kingdom first.
Yeah, I
This is
think
fun.
United Kingdom is usually the one they point to because they can just keep getting all these variants and it keeps fucking them up.
Yeah.
All right, this is not coming up.
And also, I would say this. This is anecdotal. This is like just my like gut feeling and kind of looking at it. But D614G, which was the mutation that changed it all, it was the mutation that happened on early that increased its infectivity. That mutation actually happened here in the United States, in Arizona. And you could make a very good case to say that because we didn't do the lockdowns properly, we didn't take them seriously.
All right, so this is
we are
not
the reason that
loading on my end. Do you want to send it to me in the chat and I'll pull it up?
Oh no. Here, let me try and do a different like way of streaming it real quick.
Okay.
Bloop. Bloop. See if that
Let's
works.
see if that works. There we go. All right, let me see if I can make this larger. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. All right, so what are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is confirmed cases by a 7-day rolling average relative to population of COVID that confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people, and this is the graph for the UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see this little section right here, where it's flat, right? And it seems like they had a long period of like consistency.
Yeah.
Right. This is when they were doing hard lockdowns. This is when they were doing what they needed to do, right? Now people would say, well, we did the same exact thing. We had the same, they had the same fucking result as us. Well, you tell me if we had if we had a lull in like case rates, and you tell me if this is not a consistent increase of like, like how is this in any way, shape, or form the same as this?
Well, obviously we're
You know?
higher because we're better.
Well, clearly, right? We had to be number one, right? It's just fucking hilarious, right? People don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about when they talk about these things, and they think we did it good. They think we did it good. You know, okay, so you see this little dip right here? You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what this is?
I was that like the first right before we started like really taking up testing?
No. So that's when when everyone was like, oh yeah, we gotta flatten the curve, everybody. 2 weeks. Let's do it. Flatten the curve, right? And this is us flattening the curve.
Well, I mean, it did go down. It did go down a little bit.
And then do you know what this is right here?
I imagine
This is almost a direct correlation when fucking fuckhead Donald Trump started opening his big fucking mouth and directly going against what like Dr. Fauci was saying, what other public experts, when he was like, oh, it's wearing the biggest mask I've ever seen in my life, and like not letting go of like the China virus shit. That's what this is. Because guess what? Who knew, right? The leader of the free world, his opinion and the way he says things has an impact on how people react to stuff. Who knew, right?
Well, also, this brings me around to another point. So, a lot of the arguments against the Fauci emails is that he changed his mind, but it also doesn't take into effect time and anything. So, shouldn't that same argument, because in the emails, and I pulled this up on stream to point this out, there's a set of emails of him talking about Trump's response to China, and in those emails, it says directly that Donald Trump was saying China did a good job because he was trying to get a trade deal in. So, wouldn't by their own arguments, wouldn't Donald Trump also be lying about the COVID thing because he started by saying China was good and then he said China bad? Does that not equate the same?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So that's not who they're trying to demonize. So.
Oh, so their logic only applies when they want it to.
Yes.
All right. Well.
Yeah, and it's just my favorite thing about this whole thing. It's just like how people they don't fucking understand how time works. Like, I don't know how people can like say like, oh, he said this in February. He must have meant it the whole time, even though he changed his mind, even in the emails. Like, what the fuck, you know? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand.
All right. So
I even made a timeline. I even made a timeline of this shit that just clearly shows progression of like new evidence comes out. Yep, they changed their mind, right? Like, there's no like backtracking. There's no like saying one thing in the email and saying the other thing in the public. It's fucking nuts.
Okay, so what kind of two last things. One, obviously Bill Gates is using this vaccine to put chips in our
Really?
brains. Is this correct? This is indisputable.
I mean, the evidence, the preponderance of evidence says no, but you know, you never know. Yeah, no, clearly not. Yeah, and also I do want to say this: I'm a Bill Gates stan in this situation. If it wasn't for this man, AstraZeneca vaccine would not be the most widespread, cheapest vaccine, most available globally. Because guess what? He's been working on this for like 10 years. He's been creating contacts. He's been creating like manufacturing connections. Like, he's been doing this for 10 years. Thank God for this man, you know? And I just hate how people are like, ooh, Bill Gates, you're going to make money on people suffering. It's
but
like, no, that's not what he's doing.
Didn't he also make it push for some of the vaccines to be private instead of being publicly released?
Yep.
Okay.
And thank God he did.
Why? Wouldn't them having be public be better because that would allow for more people to create the vaccines?
No. And I was a pro IP debate in this situation, right? If it was like any other conversation about pharmaceuticals, I'd be like, yeah, fuck IPs. But like, it needed to be locked down in this situation because of two things, right? One, how fucking brand new this technology is. It creates a soft funnel, and it creates like a heavy artificial need on the expertise needed to do these things, the materials to actually do it, right? And then also the manufacturing requirements to do it correctly, right? Had the IP for the AstraZeneca vaccine gone public, not only would there be greater demand for the materials that would increase the cost of like adenovirus-mediated vaccines, but it would also saturate the market with a bunch of bullshit vaccines that could potentially not have been produced correctly with the correct like safety standards in mind. And you thought it was difficult for like a national government to like approve and vet one vaccine. Like, imagine them having to approve and vet 12 different vaccines. It's like it's fucking like not possible, you know?
All right. So then, how do we go about making sure that everyone is vaccinated, or as many people as possible? Because we do have this.
Just continue the course we're doing right now.
We keep sending them to AstraZeneca that we don't want anymore.
Well, that's the thing, right? So any vaccine is better than no vaccine. AstraZeneca still has an efficacy percentage higher than 50% for most variants. The ones that it potentially has a failure rate with are variants that like are troublesome anyways, right? It's better to get someone vaccinated with a vaccine that has like a 50% efficacy rate than have them not vaccinated with anything at all, you know?
Okay, well, counterpoint, America first.
Well, I mean, obviously, clearly, I'm an American, right?
Yeah, so why should I pay money to go deal with a different country? Like how like obviously the counter to that is very obviously because that's not how pandemics work, and the more people are vaccinated, the
right,
better.
because it's a global good and it's like a national good to like have everybody vaccinated globally. That's why.
All right, so I'm probably gonna have to go in a little, but any last things that I missed? Any Fauci,
Mm.
any other stuff that you want to bring up that was that we didn't get to?
Yeah, so two things. One, please, 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 push back against current narratives in regards to like we can't trust health officials, we can't trust blah blah blah. Because currently, there are 12 state legislatures that are trying to or have passed legislations that kneecap health departments. Such things as like like your state health department can no longer mandate the wearing of masks for any situations. In Arizona, they've made it to where nobody can mandate any vaccines ever other than K through 12. It's like illegal now in Arizona. These things are passing on the predication of like bullshit lies. Like specifically one like the Dr. Fauci like noble lie, which by the way is a fucking lie in itself.
What is
I have a
that
YouTube
lie?
video on it. So like like how people are saying that like early on he lied about like the efficacy of masks, so like there wouldn't be a national shortage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like people point to an interview that it says like this is him like admitting to his lie. This is him admitting he lied, so people wouldn't go buy masks, right? Which is just actually blatantly a fucking lie and
All right, but
false,
to be fair,
right?
we do
And
know
so
that if you tell the American people there's a shortage, we end up with idiots putting gas in garbage bags.
right, but that wasn't what he was doing.
Well,
And people are using that.
Is that not what he's doing? Because that was my understanding of what was happening.
Nope, that's not what he was doing. Not at all. And that lie is exactly the thing that people are using to like discredit and like bring in the like the honesty and like the trust of like health departments, professionals, scientists. Like they're saying like if Dr. Fauci lied about this, what else did he lie about? When in actuality, he didn't lie about it. He didn't at all. People are literally like creating this shit narrative to like push an agenda. It's fucking wild. So like, if you go on my YouTube channel, I did do a video on it, and it's like a quick 25-minute video that like clears it up real quick, and you're gonna watch it and you're like, what the fuck, right?
All right,
Because it's like
when we're done with this, send that to me, and I'll look over it another time.
I will, because it's like a blatant like mischaracterization, and they actually cut a part of a 60 minutes interview that's very important in the context of the interview to like push a narrative. And it's like also, so I would say like push back against these things, right? Because I know everyone's sick of talking about COVID shit, and I realize that it's like it's been like a fucking like plague on people's lives for like the last year and a half. But please, 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 please push back against these things, and please like protect our researchers. They've been working on this for like the last year and a half, and they're getting death threats. They're getting bricks thrown into their window. They're getting racial epithets thrown at them. They're getting their fucking names dragged through the mud, and nobody's defending them. And because of this, researchers everywhere are now like retracting themselves from the public eye. They're no longer talking to the public. They're no longer talking to the media. And this kind of shit is also having bleed through with climate scientists, with gender scientists. Like because of this, there's now going to become a vacuum of like actual experts and clear heads to talk about these things. And now that vacuum is being filled with dumbasses like Brett Weinstein's, Eric Weinstein's, Jordan Peterson's. They're now having unimpeded, interrupted like conversation times as the fucking mouthpiece of these like scientific endeavors, because nobody's defending our researchers. They fucking need it. They've been working their ass off on these things, and please defend them, right? And like I would also say this, like give them like a little bit of charity. If they say something like they speak about something, they're probably not trying to push like some like agenda or narrative or like trying to like prop up the deep state. It's probably more than likely they're awkward fucking researchers who are not used to talking to people. Like just please, like please, like I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, because like I said, Christian Anderson, that man was my fucking hero. Like everything he was doing in regards to like science communication, talking to people about these things, dispelling rumors, like that man's my hero, because I would look up to him as the reason why I need to continue to do these things on Twitch. I'd be like, regardless if I talk to one or two people, if I change my mind, I did a good, right? Because if he can do it and he can take bullshit from thousands of millions of people, then I can do it with like 5 or 6. But like ever since this happened, like it's fucking heartbreaking to me. So please, 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 if I could end it on anything, please stand up for our researchers, please.
All right. Well, I think we got a lot of good here. I think I got some interesting stuff to talk about. Bet that change how I talk about some things. Final things I have to say. Yeah. Please go follow his stream. He is Feline Father on Twitch. What are you on YouTube? Same thing?
I don't know if I have. I actually don't know what my name is on YouTube.
All right, well, he'll
But
send
like,
me the
I'm pretty
video.
sure if you
He'll send me the video,
Yeah.
and I'll put it out for there. His name on Twitter. I'll respond to that in a minute. But yeah, man, look, I enjoyed this conversation. I find I really enjoyed talking to you, even though we don't agree on everything, but that's fine. But yeah, anytime you want to come back on, or if you want to talk about something else, you just let me know. You're always welcome.
Shit, if you want me to talk for hours about Nevada politics, I'm fucking always
We're gonna
down
have to have
for
a
that. I love
conversation
Nevada
about that
politics.
at some point. We'll do that on like a slow weekend or something. Or this weekend when I
Okay.
start playing games, you want to pop in and just explain things to me while I while I do stuff. But
Sure.
all right, so I appreciate having you here. And
Thanks
I
for
look
having
forward
me
to talking
on.
to you in the
Really
future.
appreciate it, man.
All right.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
catch-
yeah.
All right, I'll catch
Take-
you later. All right, chat. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a good time with that. It was fun. So go follow his stuff. And then if we have other questions, we can do it. He's gonna send me the that video, and we'll go over it. But other than that, I gotta head out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll cover the stuff that we didn't get over today, and then we'll cover whatever's new and important. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and I hope you guys enjoyed that.